Yamaha's Tenori-on was launched in 2007, and since then it's become one of the most talked about high-tech instruments in the world. However, it is expensive, so when Yamaha announced a TNRO, or Tenori-on Orange, at the back end of 2009, a lot of people were very interested. So, what's changed? Well, for a start, the case is now made of plastic rather than magnesium, which means that it feels a bit plasticky, really. Also, there's no battery compartment, so if you're going to use it, you're going to have to be plugged into the mains at all times. The interface is actually exactly the same as before, so you get a 16 by 16 grid of buttons, function buttons up the left and right hand side, down at the bottom there's a jog wheel, a screen, OK cancel buttons. At the top there's a clear button and speakers, although they're only 1 watt, so not really very powerful. Ports are the same as before as well, so there's headphone out, that's the only output you get unfortunately, just a 3.5mm mini jack, a mini MIDI port, and the all-important power supply. So let's fire the thing up. Need the power supply obviously. Just take a second to fire up. And there you go, now you can see why it's called the Tenori-on Orange, because the LEDs are orange rather than white on the original model. Unfortunately though, you only get these on the front, nothing on the back. On the TNRW as it's now called, that's the original, you do get the LEDs on the back, which adds an extra live performance element. Operation is exactly the same as on the original Tenori-on. You can input notes in various modes, and you can blend up to 16 tracks or layers together to create a song or block. You can choose from 253 sounds, edit various parameters and import your own WAV or AIFF files with a software voice manager. Unfortunately though, these can still be only a maximum of 0.97 seconds long. One thing we should mention is the new version 2 firmware, which can easily be downloaded and installed from an SD card. We did it and it works fine, though it didn't seem to work from an SDHC card. The new firmware brings quite a few improvements, and it helps the Tenori-on to sync better with your DAW. On the machine itself, you'll find that it adds a swing parameter, which is something a lot of people have been asking for. The Tenori-on Orange is certainly great fun, but unfortunately it suffers from the same problems as its sibling and actually adds a few of its own. I've already mentioned the short sampling time, and I think just having a mini jack output on an instrument of this price really isn't enough. I think you really need phono jacks as well. The screen is sometimes quite hard to see at certain angles, and I don't want to labour the point about not having battery powering, but having to plug in what is a very portable instrument I think is a bit of an issue. Maybe they could add a USB port, which would give good computer connectivity and possibly bus powering as well. That could help to solve the problem. Around the back, no LEDs. If you're a live performer, maybe that's going to be an issue. And I think that's kind of the point really, that you can get this for $599. The TNRW, which is the original Tenori-on, you can get for about £710. So if you want the full experience, you might decide that it's worth paying the extra. That said, we're going to have a full review of the Tenori-on Orange soon on Music Radar.